Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. As you can see here, I'm sitting next to a very special entrepreneur. His name is Jonathan Strange. He's 19 years old. Believe it or not, he's got a little bit better of a beard than me, so it makes him look a little bit older. But kind of cutting down the story a little bit, I actually ended up meeting him just on social media, just through the Instagram DM, I guess you can call it. And so I mean, it's a very powerful tool if you guys haven't connected with other entrepreneurs. It's a great way to meet other people. And so I'm actually out here at the University of Alabama, and so we're just gonna do an interview for you guys. We'll probably be about 15-20 minutes. This guy's got a lot of knowledge to kind of spit for you guys. So with that said, I'm just gonna let him kind of take it off, introduce himself, and we'll kind of get right into it. So.
What's up, guys? So, like I said, my name is Jonathan. I started my company when I was 14 years old. Really just needed some way to make some quick cash and started basically, unlike Kish flipping phones, I was like basically fixing them for people. So people would actually come to my house. I didn't have a car at that point, so they would drop them off in my house and I would repair them in my bedroom while they waited and outside the front of my house in their car. So from then I grew it into what I have now, which is actual shop location, and Kish is actually helping me like kind of integrate like buying and selling phones into the actual retail location that I currently have. So I have right now a business partner and then 2 technicians that work for us. So.
Okay, and so I mean, for a lot of my audience, it's just based off kind of basically buying and selling phones. Not many people do the repairs, so I mean, I want to use this opportunity to just kind of like let you talk about giving them sort of value, right? So if anybody is watching this and they haven't flipped a phone, where does somebody start? I know you started pretty young. Like, what would you recommend? How do you get into the repair industry?
Right, so I'm actually looking to start like Teachable. Is that what you use for your? Okay, so I'm looking to start like a Teachable too for like cell phone repair. So your audience can like kind of stay tuned for that part. But from day one, I mean, you know, I didn't have anybody that like taught me, okay, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. It was really just like, you gotta figure it out on your own, you know, like if you're gonna be an entrepreneur and hustle, like whatever your industry is, like you gotta figure out how to do it on your own, whether that's through reading books, YouTube, which helped me a lot, like just Googling like, how do I fix iPhone 6 screen replacement? Like there's probably 25 videos just on that one repair. So watch it a ton of times, grab a phone, like perfect example of a phone you can use is like maybe you bought a bad phone that was bad ESCN and you don't have a buyer for it because it's old. Take that phone, break it down. If it works, make sure it works first, and then try putting it back together. And then like if you did it successfully, then you know you can keep doing it over and over again to get better at it. So that's what I did. Like I had a 5C that I broke myself. That was like the first phone that I broke. Ended up like calling some people around to like get a repair quote to see how much it would cost to get repaired, and people were telling me these like outrageous numbers, like $150 for 5C screen replacement. I was like, screw that, I'll buy the kit and do it myself, you know. So bought the kit and took the risk, which I think the kit was like $20 back then or something, $25. Ended up fixing the phone myself, and then from there I've just like scaled exponentially. But just watching YouTube videos, like there's so much information that you can gain out there just from watching the repair videos and like how to do it yourself. But like I said, I'm trying to put together now like a course that will teach people more in-depth stuff that the YouTube videos doesn't cover. But anyone with honestly $50 in entrepreneurship, like hustle, can start a repair company for anything, not only phones.
And so let's say they have $50. Where would you recommend somebody buys a kit? Do they buy it from a local place? Do they buy it online? Like,
so if you want like the best quality parts, obviously you're going to need to eventually scale to where you can buy from China. Buying directly from wholesaling companies out of China that actually manufacture the aftermarket parts is going to be your best bet for quality, because one thing about repair industry is like, especially for phones, like the consumers know like when you're using crappy stuff. So like it's really common if you ask someone that's ever had a screen replacement done, like, is there a difference between that screen replacement and the one that Apple put on it? And most people are going to say yes, because whoever they got it done through was using like a $10 screen and it did nothing. It was terrible quality. So eventually you want to get to a part where you're scaling to a place where you can buy the high quality parts out of China. But until then, if you're looking to buy parts, you can contact me, or I can put you into contact with someone who's looking to buy, buy parts.
Perfect. And I'll link all your stuff down below as well.
You guys feel free to DM me or whatever if you like. If you're getting started and you want to buy like one of each screen, like I can definitely hook you up and send them to you, like USPS it to you or whatever you want to do. Okay.
And now I know you said you own a location and everything like that. Kind of tell us how you got into that. Like, how did the vision start, and like how long did it take you to actually have a physical location and have an open business?
So obviously, I started when I was in 9th grade at 14. My first client was a high school student that I had met at Lee, which is the high school that I went to, and he ended up just like finding me through like a friend of a friend that was telling people around the school that I did it. He had an iPhone 4 that was cracked, ended up repairing his screen. So from then, like, I realized, wow, like there's obviously demand for this. I'm gonna scale it and grow it. Being a 14-year-old kid, like I made a lot of mistakes in terms of my business and learned from it. But 2015, I ended up having a lot more people come to my house to repair it, obviously, because I had basically created my own website, which if you're getting started, like that's, I would say, obviously a necessity. Like most of your clients are going to find you through your Google rankings, and in order to get like your Google business listing, you can actually use your house for that, by the way. So if you have a house location, you can actually use Google to basically list your house as a business listing and then hide your address. So for example, if you've ever Googled something and there were like a business and there was no address, that person was probably using his or her apartment and then just letting it hide the address and click call. So that's what I would do. And people would end up calling, coming to my house and getting it repaired. Once I was able to get a car, which most people probably watching this have a car. If you don't freak out, you can still do it. But if you have a car, it's even more scalable because you can go to them. And being in the repair industry and like being able to offer that mobile service of like, hey Kish, you got a cracked iPhone 5, I can come to you, fix it for $10 cheaper than what the guy down the street that you have to go to him will do. A lot of people will just take that up, especially people that are working. Like if you can go to their workplace during the day when they're working and fix it, they'll almost always say yes. So that was 2016 when I finally got my car. I had saved all the money from my repairs to buy that car. 2016, I was going and doing mobile repairs. 2017 came around, was scaling it even more, doing like some days I would do 5-6 repairs a day. And some days I think my biggest day in 2017 was like 9 repairs.
And what's the profit margin on that?
So on that day, it was actually a Sunday, which is bizarre because if anyone that knows like the repair industry, Sunday is a pretty slow day. And it ended up being like a $1,400 day. So and that was when I was 16, driving around. So
that's crazy.
But yeah, I would just line them up. Like say I would start at 9 o'clock. I would say, okay, I got an appointment at 9 o'clock in Blue Ridge Apartments or this apartment complex, and then I would like line it up. So like have like I would 9 o'clock I would get a 6, 7 o'clock would be a 7, and so on, and just scale from there. 2018, or sorry, back up. 2017, I'm a senior in high school. In the fall semester, the first semester of my senior year, I ended up hiring my uncle part-time to basically keep the phone at home and like answer the company phone that we had and basically do the repairs while I was in school, because what I was having happening is like people would call my Google listing or like my free ads while I was in school, and depending on the teacher, sometimes I couldn't answer the phone. Sometimes I could. I'd like sneak away to go to the bathroom to answer it or like reply by text. But I was losing a lot of clients through that. So hired him, and he was actually working out of my grandparents' house that I was living with at the time. We would literally have people, like 2 or 3 people, pull up at the same time in the front, and we would go out to their car. They'd fill out our little paperwork form, just saying like that we're letting us repair their phone basically. And we would take it back inside to my like little office room that I had, and we would fix them at the desk, take them back out to them in less than like 20 minutes. And that like kicked off. But one thing about that is like doing it out of your house though, is you gotta be careful, because if you live in a nicer neighborhood like my grandparents do, like people get irritated. So we ended up getting like letters from the mayor. We had so many people complaining that there were so many cars out front all the time. They thought we were selling drugs, so they reported us at first. And all of our neighbors hated us because there would always be like shady cars out front for people trying to get their phone repaired, or just a ton of cars at the same time. So after a while, we were like, we got to do something about this. Like, I've had the mayor call me. I've had like letters from neighbors. I've had letters from like the neighborhood association. Like, they're not going to let us keep doing this. I was like, okay, we got to do something. At that time, I was still in high school, so like a retail location really wasn't going to work for me then. And so what I would recommend you guys doing, if you ever get to this point, is scale to like an office shop, which is what I did. You know, I got an office and turned it into sort of like a retail place. I got a couch. You guys can go to my Instagram. You can probably link this, and you can see like the pictures of like the progression. I'll make sure to post those so you guys can see like what the office was. You know, my first desk office in my house to my office in the beginning of this year to like my actual retail shop. But anyways, got the office location and was doing phone repairs out of there. That way we had a physical location that we could advertise with an address that wasn't shady like a house. Yeah. And that was this January. Fast forward to November, I signed my first commercial lease, which is where I am now, and actually a retail location in front of Walmart in a actually not the nicest part of my town, so in terms of retail.
Okay, cool.
But that's the journey.
And so I know, like, I guess people watching this, I always get a lot of questions like, people want to see like what can they potentially go into, right? And like for you, it was like the repair shop. So kind of everybody wants to know numbers. So like, what's a breakdown of what an average shop would cost in your opinion, with the parts, like with the location, the startup? How much capital would you need?
So, luckily for the industry today, like when I started, there were no, like repair was kind of like, I'm trying to think of like an equivalent industry that like the repair would have been like in 2014. Kind of like before we had Netflix, like you actually had to go to like Blockbuster or whatever to get the movies, like before you could just rent it instantly. Yeah, that's kind of how it was with parts back in the day. Like you would have to buy them off eBay if you didn't have enough money to buy from China in bulk. You'd have to buy it off eBay. The parts were crappy, and it took like a week to come in. So it sucked because clients most of the time weren't willing to wait a week if you didn't have the part. Whereas now, like, you have people like me and other wholesalers that are willing to sell to like guys that only do a couple of repairs a week, or even maybe one a day, or just one a week, or whatever it is. And it works out because like now I can overnight it to you, or these other wholesalers that do it too, they can overnight it to you, so you have it next day, and people are willing to wait. Obviously, you know, they're okay with waiting like a couple hours or a day to have the parts. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, that's kind of off topic. You were asking about the price, right?
Like, breaking it down.
Okay, that's where I was going with. So the reason I'm saying that is because used to you needed a lot more money. Now you don't need as much money because you can, as long as you have the tools, a place to do it, you know, and most people can use your bedroom, or you can do it at like this coffee shop that we're at right now. So you really don't need a lot of money. I would say $50 is enough to get started. Like that's about, I had $100 to get started. I bought two iPhone 4 screens and an iPhone 5 screen and like the toolkit back in the day, and that's what I got started with.
And now going to the other side of like, big difference in money. Like, what does it cost to get into like a retail?
I mean, if you want to start your own retail shop from scratch, which I would never recommend unless you're already at a place where you're doing pretty big numbers, because you need a reputation in the repair industry, just like you need a reputation like buying and selling phones. People trust you a lot more. They're willing to they're willing to buy. I mean, I'm sure people that buy and sell through your Facebook group and like through your Teachable thing have like learned, like if you have that reputation, people are willing to like actually buy the phones from you. It's the same thing with the repair industry. Like the reputation is going to be the thing that like is the hardest for most entrepreneurs. Like it really takes a long time to get those reviews to where people trust you. And until you get that, you just gotta grind. You gotta just beat the competition in every way. But sorry, keep going off track.
No,
25 grand is probably what I would say to start a retail location. Obviously that's going to vary if you're like in New York. I mean, we're talking 100, 150,000 depending on where you're putting it. But in my city, pretty good size metropolitan area, like 200,000 people in Montgomery. so it worked out.
How do you get into like the training of new, I mean, devices are coming out here left and right pretty much every single year, whether it's iPhones, Androids. How do you train like yourself or other people to do that and keep up to date with it?
Right, so this is kind of going into something completely separate too. A lot of people ask about certifications, like, you know, if you become an electrician, you got to become certified. Unfortunately, depending on your state, I think California is a little bit different. I think now you are actually required to have a repair certification to do repair in California. You double check that for me. But I know most states don't require like a state board certification. There's no state board for iPhone or Apple or phone repair in most states. That could change in the future, but as of now, it's not like that. So to get started, you really don't need anything other than like the knowledge of how to do it yourself, and to be confident enough to not like freak out in front of a customer if something goes wrong and it's probably just a little mistake that you know forgot to put one flex cable in, or you forgot to put one screw in, or just something weird. So that's the biggest thing, is like having that confidence to be able to know what you're doing. And to build that confidence is like repetition of doing it over and over and over again, to where you can do it like on the spot. You know, most videos that you're going to see take about 30 minutes to do a repair. I've gotten to where I can do it in like 8 minutes. That's just because I've done it so many times. I can almost close my eyes. Well, no, I can literally probably close my eyes and tell you like what is going where, just because I've done them so many times. And that's where you need to get in order to build that like confidence, not only with yourself, but like if you have that confidence from repetition of doing it so many times, you're going to seem a lot more confident to the buyer, and they're going to let you do whatever, you know. If you say, hey, you need a new battery, they're just going to be like, okay, you know what you're talking about, give me a new battery. Or hey, you need a screen, okay, give me a new screen. They're not going to like question you like, I don't know. Like if you guys ever gotten your oil changed and like some shady guy's like, yeah, you probably need some oil, you're going to be like, no, I probably don't need oil. Same thing with phone repair.
Okay. And I mean, probably just one more question. What would you say is like the benefit of being in a shop? Like what, is it something to scale necessarily? Is it just having like a physical presence? What would you say is the best benefit of it?
So one reason I wanted to start a teachable like you've done for basically buying and selling phones, I wanted to do it for phone repair because I noticed that with the repair industry, it's not something that is as scalable as other industries. And when I mean scalable, I mean like multi-billion-dollar scalable. That's why there's no huge companies that are across the globe right now that are dominating the repair industry. That's because it takes a lot of effort, and it's really hard to manage like a ton of, like, we're talking thousands of stores. You have a couple chains that are pretty reputable, like Cell Phone Repair and U-Break iFix are probably the most notable. But even then, a lot of people don't understand that those are actually individually owned and managed. They're just a franchise. So the way it works is, you know, if I wanted to convert my store to a U-Break or iFix or Cell Phone Repair, I could. All I would have to do is pay a franchise fee. You know, like when Chick-fil-A puts in a new store, like they have a franchisee owner, but like Chick-fil-A still really owns that store. When a U-Break iFix store goes in, or like a cell phone repair store goes in, the actual owners of the store are still the people that are running that store. And I'm saying that because like there's another company called iCracked and a couple other like variants of that have tried to basically scale the mobile repair industry, and they've all pretty much failed. Like if you guys have followed the repair industry, you know, like you saw iCracked get really big and then they just died, because it's really hard to have a company manage like your personal advertising and manage that customer to business owner relationship from far away. Whereas like in the food industry, you can do that. You can run TV ads, you can run social media ads, and like get Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's or whatever the company's name is out there. With the repair industry, it just doesn't work like that. So that's why if you look at like the most successful repair shops, it's never chains in the cities. It's almost always people that have like started their own repair company and have been there for a couple years and have that reputation. So I think the question was, how does having a store,
what's the benefit?
The benefit. So having a store, again, it falls into that reputation. If you have a store with a sign on it, people are automatically going to assume, like, okay, these people know what they're talking about. They don't argue with you. They just pay, you know, basically more money. Like if at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to more money. And again, back to what I was saying about wanting to start my own teachable, is because I basically, my game plan for like 2019 is to basically be what iCrack tried to be, which is where they had their own program to where you bought this stupid kit that was way overpriced. It was like $400. I actually bought it just to see what it was like. And they had repair videos to show their techs how to use it. But the problem is most of the techs signed to the company and then basically just started doing it on their own because they realized, wow, this is a scam. They basically are charging me just to watch these stupid videos that don't help me. I have no one to call when I have a problem. It just didn't work. So I'm trying to create this teachable so people can like see, hey, look, this is how you actually do it. You know, I want to have actual communication with people so they can ask me questions like when they have a problem and try to fix this gap in the repair industry that I think big companies just don't realize because they've never actually done the repairs. They've never actually been like me and you and like doing the grinding part. And if they did that, I think the game would be completely different. They wouldn't even try to scale the way they have.
Yeah, and the cool part is, like, he mentioned this in the beginning of the video, like one thing he hasn't even tapped into necessarily yet, and I'm trying to help him with it a little bit, is like these don't necessarily need to be just repairs, right? Like he's starting to buy phones, started to flip those for really good profit in shop because you can pretty much sell them at top dollar. I mean, you have a physical location. He's talking about that reputation. Nobody's going to deny that that's a bad phone or anything like that. So like definitely, if you guys, like, I know most of you are in the phone flipping space, I'd recommend, obviously with today's knowledge, you guys should definitely start looking into the repair industry. And again, Jonathan's going to be creating a YouTube channel here.
This is probably my first video.
So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to have him like pretty much be on the comment section, so hopefully you can answer a bunch of these guys' questions, because I probably won't be able to in terms of the repairs.
Or DM me.
Or DM, yeah. I'm going to link his Instagram down below. I'll probably put up a screenshot here as well, so go follow him. Hit him with that subscribe button. With that said, if you guys made it to this far in the video, I appreciate you guys so much. If you haven't liked the video yet, I know there's some value in here today. And if you haven't subbed to the channel yet, I'd appreciate it so much. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.